Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international. So if you have a computer, you can get to betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They are licensed professional, master's level or PhD level. I've had a lot of good feedback from it. People seem to like their therapists that they're getting on there. So thank you, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay, let's dive into some questions. So obviously I am on vacation, obviously. So, but I wanted to do a midweek video just to answer some questions that have come in. So the first one I want to tackle was on guilt and shame. Hey Chris, the 14th is Mother's Day in Germany. I would love on how to avoid the guilt video maybe. So let's talk about the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt and shame. So guilt. Guilt we feel internally. Guilt is when we've done something maybe not okay and we go, oh, I regret that. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Or I could have done this differently. Or, you know, we second guess and we replay things in our head and we feel guilty, right? Shame, however, let's talk about that for a moment. Shame is given to you. So shame is external, guilt is internal. But we as targets of abuse tend to confuse those because it's hard to tell, you know, when somebody's telling you you should feel shame or you should feel guilt, what's really something we need to feel guilty about and what's really not. So shame is handed to us. Shame, it's toxic shame. And abusers play on this. So I want to be very clear here. Abusers play on this. So they know that they can make us question ourselves and start to make ourselves feel guilty by going, oh, you hurt my feelings. You did this. You guns. Okay. When somebody starts doing the you guns, and you know you haven't done anything that deserves to feel shameful or guilty about, then that's a manipulation. So this is why the fog, fear, obligation, guilt, fear, obligation, guilt. This is why the fog is how you know you're dealing with a toxic person. So obviously we've got Mother's Day coming up on the weekend. I think it's not just in Germany. I think it's everywhere. I get into the humidity and my hair just decides to get its own zip code. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so when a toxic person is wanting to manipulate and control, they will play on our natural ability to feel guilty, to feel regret, or to feel like, oh, I shouldn't have done this, or I could have done that, or whatever. So, but a toxic person will come in and make you feel fearful, obligated, like you owe them, or guilty, otherwise toxic shame. So they'll be like, oh, it's Mother's Day and you didn't call me and I'm all alone and you should feel guilty and blah, 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 whatever. So, so that's the difference. It's like guilt is internal, shame is external. Shame is told to us. You should be ashamed. Rah, 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 rah. That kind of thing. So how do you deal with that? Well, basically, it's deciding what your boundaries are. I know, it all has to do with boundaries. So working on your self-esteem. Now, do people with good self-esteem have guilt? You betcha. You betcha. But it's an internal thing. It's not handed to us from somebody outside. We get to decide whether we have regret over this or not somebody else. But what abusers do is they tell us, you need to feel regret. You need to feel guilty. You need to do this to make me feel better. That's shame. So dealing with the guilt, what to do with it. So especially since we've got Mother's Day coming up. If you are in no contact with that particular parent, stay no contact. Stay no contact. I don't care if it's Mother's Day. I don't care if it's their birthday. I don't care if it's International Talk to Everybody Day. No, stay no contact. because they're toxic, they're abusive. You don't need them in your life. If you've gone no contact, stay no contact. What they will do is they will do the guilt trip, okay? The guilt trip. Oh, I'm all alone and you didn't call and blah, 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 or whatever their particular guilt trip is. So you know it's a guilt trip when they're trying to evoke shame in you. Can you see the difference? Okay. So like, for example, feeling guilty. So let's say that you're having a really bad day and you snap at somebody and you feel guilty for it. Okay, well that's normal. That's your moral compass going, you probably want to go make amends to that person. Do you see where I'm going with that? That's internal. Shame is where somebody goes, you need to feel this way. I'm going to say these words to make you feel this way so that you are manipulated to do what I want. Does that make things clear? So how to deal with it? So first of all, you've got to work on your self-esteem. Seriously. You got to work on it, because people with good self-esteem do not put up with this crap. They really, truly don't. I mean, when somebody tries to guilt trip me, I call them out. It's like, that sounds like a guilt trip. What's that about? And they don't ever try it again because they know I'm not going to fall for it. They also know I'm not going to put up with it. And they also know I'm going to be like, okay, so what's this manipulation about? And basically, you can't manipulate me. Hello. So, anyway, so self-esteem, the self-esteem workbook, Glenn Schiraldi. I keep telling people this and they're just kind of like, maybe, I don't know. So here's the deal, guys. The fear of working on your self-esteem is coming from the knowing that once you do, things are going to change. And when we've been raised by an abusive family, we're terrified of change. We are, because change was never good in our family. And it's hard for the little kid inside of us, the inner child, to figure out that change is good. Change is good. It's inevitable. It's going to happen, either for good or for ill. And if you can influence it, it's going to be for good. If somebody else influences, it's going to be for ill. So you want to work on the self-esteem. Get the self-esteem workbook by Glenn Schiraldi and start working it slowly. Take his advice. It's going to take you 3 to 6 months to get through the book. Allow it to take 3 to 6 months to get through the book. And then when you're done, go back through it again. Why? Because you need it to soak into your head. You've had how many years of indoctrination from an abuser? It's going to take a little bit of time to indoctrinate yourself to healthy thinking. So think of it that way. So, and comfort your inner child. So Inner Child Workbook, Catherine Taylor, or Inner Child Workbook, Lucia Cappuccioni. So the other thing that's going on too is that little inner child is handing our power over to whoever is the shamer and going, you're right, I'm a horrible person, in an effort to people please. Can you see that? So guilt, shame, toxic shame, is really about people pleasing. If I can let them know that I feel horrible and and they manipulate me into doing whatever they want, they'll be happy with me. Let me clue you into something. Those mother cluckers ain't happy with themselves. They're not happy with anybody. If this was a perfect world, they would all drop dead because they would have nothing to complain about. So you can't please them. And harming yourself in order to make somebody else happy, whoa, that really speaks to low self-esteem. That's why I'm saying self-esteem workbook, Glenn Schiraldi. So the first baby steps on getting rid of the toxic shame or the toxic guilt is to write it out. Journaling is hugely helpful. And it helps to see it in black and white and be like, okay, this person said this to me. I felt this way. Is that really how I feel? Or is this person trying to manipulate me? Writing out all the different times in the past how you've been manipulated by this person, especially, like I said, we're coming up on Mother's Day. They don't really, they do the same shtick over and over and over again, and they're pretty predictable. So you can start predicting how they're going to behave. And it cracks me up when I talk to my clients and they're like, I don't know how you knew that my family was going to do X, Y, D, and Z. They did exactly what you said they were going to do. And I'm like, well, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I do have is plenty of experience in dealing with these types. They have patterns. They stick to those patterns. It's almost like they have a playbook. And you can predict exactly how they're going to behave on what anniversary, what birthday, what birth, what death, what funeral, what, holidays. They're predictable. They're predictable. So they either make it all about them or they try to ruin the day, you know, or they try to manipulate and control, you know, and it depends on what is going to get their agenda met. But their agendas are all the same. It's all about power and control and making you feel like doo-doo. Okay, so you start working on the self-esteem and you write it out. And so you can see the patterns. What was it like? What was every Mother's Day like? What was every holiday like? What was every birthday like? What did they do? What was their main way of ruining the day or manipulating or trying to make you feel guilty or trying to insert shame or whatever? What is their pattern? Write it out. It's helpful to do that. So you do that. The other thing that you can do too is you write the guilt and the shame a goodbye letter. Dear shame, because it's toxic shame. Dear shame, guess what? I refuse. I am refusing. I am not going to feel shame anymore. I'll feel guilt if it's internal and if it's something I need to make amends for, but I will not be shamed. So go pound sand sideways with an unlubricated baseball bat. Thanks for playing. Bye-bye. And at the very end of your letter, you hand it back to the abuser. Guess what, abuser? I'm not falling for this anymore. I'm not. You no longer have control over me. You no longer have power over me. I am no longer going to fall for your guilt and your shame. No, thank you. In fact, I'm raising the rent. I'm working on my self-esteem. I'm doing the self-esteem workbook, and there's no room for you here. You're being evicted. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Trot it out to the barbecue. Read it out loud once. Burn it. And then stick to your boundaries. What are deal breakers? If you are no contact with a toxic parent, stay no contact. And if they contact you, you do not respond, no matter what the little hook is. And they're going to hook you with everything. So there's the medical Hoover. Oh, I'm dying. Oh, I've got this horrible disease and you need to talk to me. Okay, that's a medical Hoover. No. Or they'll demand that you talk to them. You have to talk to me. I'll tell you what, the second somebody tells me I have to do something, bitch, I don't have to do anything but pay taxes and die. You know, I don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. So that's the obligation. So fearful. Oh, they're going to die. Obligated. Oh, I have to. No, you don't. You're an adult. You can say no. It's okay. So write out your list of deal breakers. How many of those deal breakers did they break? So a deal breaker is anything that is disrespect. So what is disrespect? Disrespect is name calling, lying, cheating, gaslighting, rewriting history, causing you to doubt yourself, inserting shame. Those are all disrespects, okay? And then you come up with your own as well. So if the abuser has done any or all of those, you do not have contact with them. Notice how many of your deal breakers they've broken. Made you do something you didn't want to do, and then shamed you for it. Convinced you to, I don't know, a lot of times in romantic relationships, abusers will convince targets of abuse to do some sort of sexual act, film it, and then threaten to use that against them. You know, I'm going to show your family, I'm going to do that. Well, that's a federal offense. So if they do that, you just file charges, you know, and if somebody's going to judge you based on that, they're not your friends anyway. So, I've had that happen to clients. It's crazy. So with guilt, again, guilt is internal, shame is external. So if somebody's trying to shame you into contact with somebody, oh, that's the other one. They're your parents. You need to talk to them. Let's talk about flying monkeys. They're your parents. You need to talk to them because they're your parents. No, I don't. They're abusive. I already told you this. You're obviously a flying monkey and we are now no contact. And then you stay no contact. Your life is too valuable and too precious to have to put up with abusive people, whether they're flying monkeys or whether they are the abuser. So there is that. I hope that helped. So really it's a matter of, wait a minute, what do I feel? Separate from this person, separate from what they're saying, separate from how they're trying to manipulate and control. Do I feel guilty or are they inserting shame? That's what you want to ask yourself. And then when you're journaling, honestly, go back through as an inner child. Go back through to all your little inner children. When did you first notice that you started feeling shame? How old were you? That would be a good one to work on. And then you start working with that little inner child. Dear little 5-year-old me, guess what? You have nothing to be ashamed of. I am so proud of you. You're awesome. I love you very, very much. You just keep going, and you don't listen to those abusive grown-ups because they're jerks. Love me, and work on the inner child workbook. That's another good way to do it, because obviously if we had abusive family, the shame and the guilt started probably in utero. And when we popped out of the womb, they tried to insert it because then they could control us. So remember that. Shame is always a control. Shame is always a control. It gets misinterpreted as guilt because we feel guilty because they're telling us we need to feel guilty. No, you get to decide. You get to decide. Is this is something that you have regret for and you need to do something about? Okay, do it. But if it's not, and they're inserting it telling you need to feel guilty or you need to be ashamed of this, nope. Not yours. Not your circus, not your monkey, not your poop, not your coop. You know what I'm saying? So there is that. Okay, so there was another question, if I can remember it. So the other question was on making friends. Okay, so making friends is difficult for those of us who were raised by abusers because the abusers isolate. I don't know about you guys, but in my family, we were isolated. We were not allowed to go to summer camp. We weren't allowed to have sleepovers. We weren't allowed to, because no power, no control. So, and if we started, socializing with other people, we would figure out that, this isn't normal. So, making friends can be a little scary, and it can be nerve-wracking, and there can be some anxiety over that. But here's the deal. You just be you. It's okay to have friends. First of all, you work on giving yourself permission. So again, self-esteem, work on the self-esteem workbook, work on your deal breakers, work on Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker, work on Inner Child, Lucia Cappuccioni or Catherine Taylor, and you do mirror work. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. You know what? It's okay for you to have friends. It's okay. You're likable. It's okay. And then walk out. And I think that's a lot of the fear when we go to make friends, is that we're afraid we're not likable, or we're afraid that we're weird, or that, whatever. Well, are we weird? Well, given our family history, yeah. We're a little awkward socially. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So you just be you. And the best way to make friends is to be you and, talk to them, ask them questions. And this is where it gets scary for those of us who've been in abusive romantic relationships, is that the abusers would ask questions to get information to be used at us at a later date. So, but when we're asking questions, it's not going to be deep, okay? The abusers always go deep. They're always like, well, tell me about your family, and tell me about your mom, and tell me about your dad, and tell me... No, you just... Tell me about yourself. What are your hobbies? That's a good one. It's just light, airy conversation, and just be you. If you're passionate about something, tell them about your hobby, or tell them about what you really love, So it's nerve-wracking, and it's normal for those of us who've been raised by abusers to kind of feel socially awkward because we didn't really get a whole lot of opportunity to practice. So, and something else that helps is joining meetup groups, going hiking with a group of people, that kind of thing, because you're having to socialize, so baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. So be gentle with you and just realize that this is a normal feeling of going, oh my God, I'm going to be with people. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to behave. Just be you. Breathe. Tell that critic inside your head, thank you for your input. Shut the bleep up. Why? Because I say so. I am the boss of this. This is not the boss. I am the boss. So you are the boss of you. This is not the boss of you. So when the inner critic starts in, thank you for your input. Shut the bleep up. Why? Because I say so. It's okay for me to socialize. Why? Because I say so. And then do the mirror work. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. You know what? It's okay for you to have friends. You are likable. You are immensely likable. Go have a wonderful day. And then walk out. So you're kind of reparenting yourself in front of the mirror. That's really what you're doing. And you're giving yourself permission where there may have been none. So that's what you want to do. Okay, kids. All right. So this Sunday, I will be talking more about oversharing and how to stop that and why it is so dangerous if you're going through a custody battle or a high conflict divorce, and how important it is to listen to your attorney and to listen to your therapist and not respond. And we're going to talk about how to keep you from just, verbal vomit. So, all right, guys. So that's what's going to be the topic on Sunday. You guys have a great week, and I will talk to you as soon as I find my cursor. I will talk to you later.